So this is how to implement the unsupervised learning method. You have a data and you have applied clustering. Here we have used k-means clustering. I hope everyone knows, most of them knows the k-means clustering logic, right? So this is the concept of quickly we'll see k-means clustering. So the k-means clustering is a partitional based clustering actually. There are different type of clustering methods like you can see here. We have partition based approach, hierarchical approach, density based approach, grid based approach, model based, frequent pattern based, and user guided or constraint based. So k-means comes under the partition based clustering. Simple here the data will be divided into partition and each partition will be evaluated based on some criteria. It's called as a partition based clustering. Under that you have k-means, k-median, k-mode, and then you have Clara and Clarence and so on. These are the some of the algorithm comes under the k-means clustering. Even though it is a very too old algorithm, still people are using it for their research. Okay. Like after that, integrating soft computing with the k-means, they got fuzzy c-means, rough c-means, and so on. Okay. So the k-means has its own power, but the drawback is the k. What is k here? The k indicates the number of clusters. As a user, you have to say what is the number of clusters. Like just now I have shown you in the RapidMiner, where the k is to be supplied by the user. If the k is 2, then you will get 2 clusters. If the k is 4, then you will get 4 clusters. So how to determine the k dynamically? Some people have carried out that work and it is also there. Just explore it. Okay. So what is the logic behind this? Simple. The k-means clustering. First, you have to get k. What is k? K is let us say k is 3. Then we'll have 3 clusters. Okay. And the each clusters you have to assign the centroid, right? For each cluster, you have to assign the centroid. That centroid will be assigned to the clusters randomly in the initial stage. In the initial stage, what you will do, you will assign the centroid of the cluster as randomly. Any point, for example, I have some 5 points, the 5 points to be clustered as 3 clusters. Then for each clusters, I can take any point from the given data and I can assign as a centroid. Okay. Then what you have to do, you have to compute the distance between the centroid of the each cluster to all the given points. If the point is very close, if the point is very close, it means we are finding the similarity. What is clustering? Clustering is nothing but grouping the data. Okay. Clustering is nothing but grouping the data. How the data will be grouped based on the similarity. So if the data 1 and data 2 are similar, then the two data will be placed in one cluster. I will compute the similarity. There are a lot of distance functions are available to compute the similarity. One of the famous distance function is the equivalent distance when the data are numerical. While doing clustering, you have to see what type of data are you going to cluster. Are you going to cluster binary data? Then the distance function will be different. Jacob coefficient formula will be there. When you're going to use text, okay, where the you are going to cluster the two document, then you have to convert into vector. Then if you're going to convert into vector, then there is a similarity measure called cosine similarity. So use the cosine similarity to compute whether the document 1 and document 2 are similar or not. Okay, when the data are numerical, then use distance like equivalent distance, Manhattan distance, and Minkowski distance. Use any one of them and find whether the two objects are similar or not. So you have to select the, you have to find out the centroid of the clusters randomly, then compute the distance between the each centroid of the cluster to all the points. And what are the points which is close? It means if the distance function is very less, it means that that point is very close to that particular cluster. Then you can assign that point to the cluster. I will show you the example quickly. Okay. Instead of going to this theory, I will explain you the example. Let us take this problem. Cluster the following 8 points with x and y representing into 3 clusters. There are 8 points is given: A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, A6, A7, A8. Okay. Now this is the graphical representation. Okay. We have plotted all the 8 points. So A1 is nothing but it is 2, 10, and A2 is nothing but 2, 5, and A7 is 1, 2. So I have plotted all the 8 points. Now what you want to do? You want to select K. So in this problem, the K is, let us assume K is 3. So it means you would like to have 3 clusters. Okay, 3 clusters you would like to have. like this. You like to have 3 clusters, cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3. Now, each clusters we have to assign some centroid. Each clusters we have to assign some centroid. So, for the given 8 data points, I can choose any point as a cluster centroid of the each cluster. So, in this case, I have taken A1 is the centroid of cluster 1 and A4 is the centroid of cluster 2, A7 is the centroid of cluster 3. Okay, so 3 clusters I have chosen. Now what I have to do, I have to compute the distance between the centroid of the cluster 1 with all the 8 points. Then the distance between the centroid of the cluster 2 with all the 8 points. Then the distance between the centroid of the cluster 3 with all the 8 points. So in this case, the distance function is defined like this. You can define the distance functions. So the distance between a comma b is nothing but modulus of x2 minus x1 plus modulus of y2 minus y1. Okay, if the distance function is not given, by default you can use Euclidean distance. So this red color indicates that is centroid. So for cluster 1 you have assumed the A1 is the centroid. For cluster 2 A4 is the centroid. For cluster 3 A7 is the centroid. Now, so I have made a table like this. See, this is cluster 1, centroid of the cluster 1 and centroid of the cluster 2 and centroid of the cluster 3. And you are taking first point A1. So you have to compute the distance between the centroid of the cluster 1 with this A1 and distance between centroid of the cluster 2 with A1. Then distance between centroid of cluster 3 with A1. Okay, A1 value is 2, 10 and centroid of cluster also 2, 10. So here we can see this is a given point and this is the centroid of the cluster 1. Both are 2, 10. So if we substitute 2 minus 2 and 10 minus 10, you will get 0. So here it is 0. Now compute with second, that is the distance between A1 2, 10 with 5, 8. So 2, 10 with 5, 8. So x2 5, 5 minus 2 3, 8 minus 10 minus 2. Since it's a modulus, it will be plus 2. So 3 plus 2 5. So you can see here 5. Then distance between A1 with the centroid of the cluster 3. So here it is, the point is 2, 10 and that centroid of the cluster 3 is 1, 2. So if you do the computation, we will get 9. Now tell me, for the A1 point, the distance between cluster 1 and A1 is 0. Distance between cluster 2 and A1 is 5. The distance between cluster 3 and A1 is 9. Which one is minimum? 0 is the minimum. So it means this A1 point goes to cluster 1. You can see here. This is the way we have to do for all the 8 points. Now A1, next you take A2. Take A2. See here, A2 is there. A2 is here, 2, 5. So compute the distance between 2, 5 and 2, 10. Compute the distance between 2, 5 and 5, 8. Compute the distance between 2, 5 and 1, 2. If you do so, we'll get 5, 6, 4. Okay, that is, these are nothing, 5, 6, 4, nothing but the distance between the A2 and the clusters. So which one is minimum among the 5, 6, 4? 4 is the minimum. It means the A2 point is very close to cluster 3. So that's why here it is assigned to cluster 3. Take A3, 8, 4. Compute the distance between 8, 4 and 2, 10. The value will be 12. Then compute the distance between 8, 4 and 5, 8. The value will be 7. You kindly work it out. And then the compute the distance between A3, that is 8, 4 and 1, 2. It is 9. 12, 7, 9. Which one is minimum? 7 is minimum. So it means it is close to cluster 2. So you have to do for all this point. You do this same iteration for all the point. Okay. At the end, the first point goes to cluster 1 and second point goes to cluster 3. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth point goes to cluster 2. Then seventh point goes to cluster 3. Then the final point goes to cluster 2. So after the iteration 1, it becomes like this. Cluster 1 has only 1 point. There is no change in that, 2, 10. But earlier, initially, the cluster 2 has nothing, no points. Okay. Right? Only you have the centroid of the cluster. Now the cluster 2 has 5 points. Cluster 3 has 2 points. So what happens now? You have to go for, this is iteration 1. You have to go for iteration 2. So while going for iteration 2, if the cluster has more than one object, you try to take compute the new centroid of the cluster. Since cluster 1 has only 1 point, okay, no need to compute the new centroid. It will be the same. It will be the centroid of the cluster 1 for the second iteration also. But for if you look the cluster 2, there are 5 objects. So in that case, we have to find the new centroid. So how the new centroid of the cluster 2 is computed? It's nothing but taking mean of this data points. Okay, that's why it's called as k means. So 8 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6 plus 4 by 5, and 4 plus 8 plus 5 plus 4 plus 9 by 5. We'll get a new centroid of cluster 2. Like that for cluster 3, 2 plus 1 by 2, 5 plus 2 by 2. Okay, if we do that, you will get like this. Cluster 1, there is no change in the centroid of the cluster. Cluster 2, the new centroid will be 6 here. I have written here. I have taken the mean of this. Okay, I am getting 6, 6. For cluster 3, I am getting 1.5, 3.5. So cluster 1, cluster 2, cluster 3. Okay, so now as per this, so the first iteration, A1 only 1 point, and in cluster 2 we have 5 points, in cluster 3 we have 2 points. Okay, now we have to find, this is the new centroid, this red cross mark indicates new centroid we computed. After that, actually we have to do this process, which I have not given here. This, like this, we have to take another table, iteration 2. Okay, so new centroid will come first, cluster 1 2, 10, but here instead of 5, 8, 6, 6. For third one, what is the new centroid? 1.5, 3, 3.5. Then compute the distance, then assign the clusters. So if we do so, what happens? There is a change. Now the A8 is slightly moved from cluster 2 to cluster 1. Cluster 1 has A1 and A8, and there are, earlier we had 5 points, now we have 4 points. Cluster 3 we have 2 points. This is iteration 2. Then you go for iteration 3. So in the iteration 3, what will happen? Now the cluster 1 has 2 objects. Earlier it has only 1 object. Okay, but now the centroid of the cluster will change. You have to take mean of A1 plus A8 by 2. So you will get new centroid here. Even in cluster 2, earlier we had 5 objects, now we have 4 objects. So you have to take new centroid of the cluster 2. Maybe cluster 3, there is no change. So no need to compute the new centroid for cluster 3. Then find the distance between the centroid of each cluster with all the data points. If we do the iteration 3, what happens? A1, A8, A4 got one group, and A second cluster we have only 3, A5, A6, A3, and third cluster there is no change. Okay, then when you have to stop this process, if your centroid of the cluster is not changing, what it means, if the data points of each cluster is not moving further, you can stop. You go for iteration 4. After the iteration 4 also, if there is no change in the member of the clusters, we can stop it. Okay, normally the algorithm used to say that if the centroid of the cluster is not changing, then you stop it. That is the one. Some people used to say if that points in the clusters are not changing, then you stop the iteration. So here accordingly you stop. You got 3 clusters. Now cluster 1 has 3 objects, A1, A8, A4. Cluster 2 has A5, A3, A6. Cluster 3 has A2 and A6. That's called as k-means clustering. Okay, I hope the k-means clustering concept is very clear to everyone. If there is any doubt in that, is it clear?
Sir, only how you had selected that is first as 2, 8, 2, 10 and 5, 10.
It's a random, sir. You can choose any one, any point.
Any point we can select it.
Yes, sir. Yes. Here you are asking. Oh, I have taken A1, 2, 10. A4 is 5, 8. That let it be. What you can do, you can try with, sir. What you do, you manually do it. Let us say cluster 1 is A3, that is 8, 4. And let us say cluster 2 is 7, 5, that is A5. And the third cluster can be A8, 4, 9. You can do that. At the end, you will get the same thing.
You want to say that whatever we are having points from that, we need to select 3 clusters or 3 points.
Yeah.
The initial cluster centers.
Yes, sir. Here the K is 3 clusters. If I say 2 clusters, then we'll have only 2 centroids.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other doubt, participants? I hope the k-means clustering is clear to everyone. Okay. Let me know if you have. How do you determine the number of clusters? That's what I said, no, madam. Here K is user-defined threshold. There are a lot of work which is carried out dynamically. How to compute the K dynamically? That you have to explore. That is a research work. You just go ahead, okay, and try to explore it. Then we'll move back. So already I've shown you in the PPT how to work on with the clustering. See here, the clustering, you keep your cursor on the clustering, and you can see the K is you are supplying. K is supplying here 5. Okay, you can change and see the result, right? That's called as K-means clustering. So the K-means clustering is the one example for unsupervised learning, right? Okay. Now I will open the new process file. It's a blank. Right. Please kindly note down the steps. Now what you have to do. You have discussed about the supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Now you are going to discuss first how to integrate other tools in the RapidMiner. When you do go for this student or research group license, what happens, you will not get some extensions. Okay, so we have to add the extensions. How to do that? You just note down that. So here you have to go to the menu bar, then extensions. 1 minute. I will show you, just you can note down it. Okay, extensions, then marketplace, updates and extensions. Okay, so you should have internet. You should have internet. This dialog box will come. This window will come. RapidMiner marketplace. How I'm getting this here? I'm going to the menu, click extension, marketplace, updates and extensions. Okay, I'll be getting this. Then just click top downloads. I hope you are able to see now. Text processing. See what happens by generally the basic model, you will not have some extension like when you are going to do text analytics or web analytics, it will not be there. But we have extension. We have to add it. You have to add as an extension tool. Okay. So if you want to do the text processing, like for example, social network analysis, okay, text processing is required, right? So you just click this and then install it. Okay, how to do that? See, for example, Python scripting, deep learning. Actually, it should come like this. Even you can do deep learning. Deep learning is also there. Okay, see, even if you are selecting, since my package is up to date, it's not showing. I am selecting Python script. I want to add Python scripting as an extension to the RapidMiner. So I want to add this, but still I have already added. On the right hand side, I am not getting any information. But now see, deep learning I have old. Okay, but after that they have released 1.01. So what it shows in the right hand side, you can see select for update. Okay, if the tool is not installed, it will ask. Since I have installed almost everything, I will check is there any. You see, now I have selected converters extension. Okay, now this is not, I have this tool is not added in my tool. So you can see select for installation. We have to enable this checkbox, and in the down you can see install packages. Just you have to click this, so that what will happen, that package will be installed. It will be added as a one extension. Like that, you have to do it for the first step is add extension, Python scripting extension RapidMiner. So first step is in extensions. Then here you have to go for marketplace. Okay, then on top downloads you click, then you select Python scripting. Python scripting. Okay, right? Then you add this. So so you have to install this. So it will be added. Number one. Number two, and actually this is two. Number two step. Okay, what is the two step? Adding Python script in the rapid manner. What is number one? Step number one. This is step two. Okay. What is step one? Install the Python. Before adding this, install Python in your laptop. Then only it will work. Correct. Python should be there in the system. Install the Python and find the exe path of Python. First step, install Python and find out the exe path of the Python and copy and keep it with you, the notepad. Step two, go to the RapidMiner, add the Python script in RapidMiner. So how to do that, I told you. What is number three? Then after doing this, okay, so such a way we have to do it. Now how to see that? You can see here whether the Python scripting is added or not. You just type execute Python. Execute Python. See here, are you able to see under the utility? Under the utility, you have execute Python. So if it is there, it means the Python is integrated. Okay, you can see like this, or you can go here and you can see scripting under the utility scripting execute Python. Okay, so you have added Python. Then, so this is a two step. Then step three. Step three. Then or setting, you can say setting Python exe with RapidMiner in RapidMiner. So how to do that? So first install the Python and find the exe path of the Python. Then step two, add the Python scripting. This is step three. I'm sorry. Setting Python exe in RapidMiner. So you have to go here. Settings. Okay. Setting and preferences. Go to the menu. Setting and preferences. So here. Okay. Setting and preferences. Okay. There. What do you do? Setting preferences. You will get this window. Okay, now you can see under the down Python scripting. If the Python scripting is added, then only it will be visible. Okay, Keras recommender, no, under that Python, so you click this. Okay, now you have already the exe path, by binary path of the Python here. You can just add that. You can copy and paste it here. That's it. Okay, and add that exe path and test it. You just right hand side, you click test, because if the Python is integrated or not. If the test works fine, then only it means.
Please
Yes,
repeat, sir.
I will repeat.
How
I will
to get
repeat.
the exe?
How to get?
Exe
How
Python.
to add the exe path, right? I will show you.
Yes.
1 minute, let it come. So it's checking with the Python now. That's why it's taking time. It's testing Python installation. If the Python is installed. Because this will help you once you integrate the Python with the RapidMiner, like data pre-processing and some other steps. Yeah, see, the Python installation setup correctly, detected Python 3.6.5, installed modules, it shows SciPi, and you can see all these machine learning libraries like Pandas, everything is there. You can see Pandas is there, NumPy is there, all the packages are installed. Matplotlib is there, Keras is there, everything is Jupyter, everything is there. Okay, then click OK. So it means it is integrated. So how to do that, sir? I will repeat what I'm trying to do here. The third step, sir. Here, setting preferences. Okay, then I have to choose Python scripting. Then Python binary path. In that window, you have to select Python binary path. So I will show you in the RapidMiner. Settings, sir. Go to settings. Click preferences. This window will come. Here you have Python scripting. Okay, just click this Python scripting. Then finding Python and Python binary path. Here we have to whatever the path which you already copied and it is there in the notepad, copy and paste it here. Simple. Then you test it. Okay, if the path is correct, and then it will give tick mark. If it is not working, then it means the path is not correct. You go and find the Python path, because I have my exe file is in this location. Okay, see, I have C data local, so many things are there. Okay, Python and then Python 36 python.exe. This you have to copy and test. That's it. 10. So now what is this? We have added Python scripting and you have checked the Python also working. Okay. Now how to write a Python code here? Now you discuss k-means clustering. The same k-means clustering. Now you are not going to use a k-means clustering operator from the RapidMiner, but the concept of k-means clustering, the logic of k-means clustering is written in Python code that you are going to execute here. Okay. So I have already, because it's already shortage of time. So what I will show you, already I have one. I will open and show you. All right. So here, actually this generate data is the operator. Okay. This is the operator. What is this purpose of this operator is to generate the data. So far what you did, you read Excel and you did some process, right? But now I want to generate the data. So where it is here. You just type. You can see there are so many things are there. Generate. Okay. So you can select generate data. You can see generate data, randomized data. This is generate data for ARIMA. It's for time series analysis, under the time series analysis. Okay. So you just take this one under the utility random data generation, generate data. Okay. This is the, if you keep your cursor, you can see the property here, right hand side. Target function is random. You are using random method to generate the data. Number of samples, it means I want to have 100 rows, and number of attributes, 5 attributes. Okay, this is a way to generate the data. So I have just simply generated data here, 100 samples and 5 attributes. Then this is nothing but actually there is an operator called set macro. This is not number of clusters. There is no operator. You have set macro. Okay. Set macro is the operator. This operator only is renamed. Okay, this is renamed here. So what is this use of this? To state the number of clusters, because k means you want to say what is k, right? So here k, or directly you can also write the coding in the Python. That is all. That also you can do. So here this operator is used, and what is the property they have said? Macro is k. Okay, the value is 3. It means you like to have 3 clusters here. Okay, that is meaning of this macro. Macro is k is 3 and number of clusters is 3. Then what about this? This is execute Python. You can see. Okay, so there is an operator called execute Python. Execute Python. This operator only is renamed here like this. Okay. So what you have done here, you can see we have added this operator. After adding that, if you keep your cursor on execute Python, you can see the parameters which is related to that script and script file. There are two things. 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah. So sorry. Right. So in this Python's clustering, if you keep your cursor here, you can see script. Right. Edit text. So here I have already is there. But what are the text Python script you want to type here? We can do that. Okay. So here you have called this scikit-learn, and you are doing this k-means. Okay. You can see cluster import k-means, right? And then you are trying to cluster it. Just you have written a code for a clustering. So this is the way you have to add your Python scripting. This is number 1. Number 2, no sir, I already have a script file. I don't want to type anything here. I want to call that. So here you can see script file. You can browse that location. You just call that particular script file. So there are 2 ways. And for each operator, you want to know, just press that, and in the help down you can see what is the use of each parameters. That also you can see. So here what I am trying to do, I am trying to generate a data with the 100 tuples with 5 attributes, and I want to have cluster k 3 clusters, and I have written a code in Python. I have not called any k-means clustering of the RapidMiner. Now I would like to execute. It makes a time because it's executing and it's integrating. Yeah, you can see here. So what you did, actually, you have had 100 tuples, correct? See, you can see you have generated 100 tuples, right? I hope you are able to see 100 tuples. And how many attributes I told? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 attributes. And now randomly you have generated data. Now our job is to cluster them. So how many clusters? 3 clusters. So now 100 tuples to be clustered into 3. So what is the first tuple? Cluster 2. It means the first tuple is assigned to cluster 2. Second tuple also goes to cluster 2. third tuple also goes to cluster 2. What about this fourth row? It goes to cluster 1, and this goes to cluster 2. 0 means cluster 1, 1 means cluster 2, 2 means cluster 3. So like that. Okay. So this is the way to use Python scripting. Any doubt, friends? Somebody has written here. 1 minute. Okay. In script, should you follow some specific variable names for function parameters and such? See, whatever you are trying to do in Python, everything you can do here. No issues. Then any doubt from audience regarding this Python scripting integration? Okay. I hope it is clear. I think you are able to follow me. I'm sorry you are presenting in online and some inconvenience is there. I think right. Hope very soon we will have practical sessions in direct after this COVID. Okay. I think so it is clear. Okay. So this is the way to use this tool. Like that, it's not only Python, sir. You can do for when you go for this text processing. We have to add this text processing. See, now I will show you here. I hope this is clear. So I will close this. In the extension, we can see here. The extension, you can see so many things I have added. Apart from the text processing, the Alien has released another component for text analysis that also I have added. You can see here all the text processing you can do. This is Alien text processing. Extract article, analyze sentiments, extract entities, detect languages, and so on. You have to explore it. See when you are going to use any tool, you need a practical experience. And see, even I had a deep learning. You can add the layers. You can see add full connected layers, add droplet layer, add convolution layer, add pooling layers. You can build your model, add LSTM layer. Everything is possible. And even you have Keras. You have the modeling under the Keras. You can see. Okay, this also you can do 4 layers and everything you can do. So later on you try just add and explore it. Just I'm giving introduction to you. And see here text processing. This is the old one. You can see all this like no, when you do the social network analysis, what you have to do? Social networks actually you have using the Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, and so on. So where you are using unstructured data. So the data is classified into 3: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. But when you look the social network, most of the data are unstructured. One of the major unstructured data which you are using is text. Okay, so how to analyze the text? For that, you must need this text processing. So you have to use this tokenization. There are basic text pre-processing steps like tokenization and stop word removal, stemming. These 3 we have to do. What is tokenization? For example, I am reading deep learning algorithms. Okay, I am reading deep learning algorithms. This is the sentence which you are supplying as a text. Then the tokenization, I think you can do that here. There will be read document. There will be read document. If you want to do that, there is a read document. Just add here and connect. This is to read the document. See, you can see the file is there. File location is there. So you can create a notepad file. Like see, this is the file I would like to save. Just I'm saving as IRTT, and then I would like to browse it here. So this file I want to open it. Okay, then I just connect this. I think it is connected. Okay, then run the process. Now you can see I am able to read this text. I am reading this as a document. Install that all these things are there. Now, what I want to do, you have to apply the text pre-processing method. What are the text pre-processing method? You have to apply the tokenization. So you just type here tokenize. I think you can see under the extension text processing tokenization. So tokenize. You disconnect this. Okay, then run the process. So what is token? I think those who studied compiler design may be knowing that in the phases. Okay, the first one is the lexical analyzer, right? Whenever you send any statement, then it will read as a token. Each word will be the one token, like step, install, Python, and so that will be the tokenization. Then, so if you are giving any paragraph, then it will convert into tokens. That is tokenization. Then what is the next one? You have to use, you have to filter the stop word removal. Okay, so filter stop word English. Okay, then see the outcome. What is the result? Now you can see step 1, install Python and find exe path of the Python. What happens here? One is not there. It is stopped, removed. Install is there. Python and is the stopper. And all these things will be removed. See, and is removed. Find exe path of is removed. Okay. So that is called a stop word removal. So the complete, this is a token and then it is removed. This is the text you have supplied. Tokenization is done and then stop word is removed. Okay. Then the another one is stemming. You can use any one like Porter is there, Snowball is there. There are many various stemming is there. What is stemming? For example, working. Working will become work. Worked. Ed will be cut work. That is called a stemming. Okay, because these things are required to process your document text properly. Okay, so run the process. Now you see Python. Python find the exe. E is removed here. Exe. Path Python step and adding. No, you can see. Step 2 is removed. Adding also becomes add. Right. So like work scripting will be script. Right. See here. Scripting will become script here. So that is called as stemming. So you have to do this basic text processing when you are analyzing the text. In the social networks, we will have large amount of text. The text to be pre-processed first. That's why whether the normal data or text data or image data or video data, that pre-processing plays a major role. That is the process which helps us to shape your data. Okay, once the data is shaped, then you can apply your algorithm. I hope it is clear to you. So these are the basic process you used to do in the text pre-processing. Okay, is it clear? Somebody asks how to evaluate accuracy of cluster analysis. Madam, cluster analysis, I think we have measures, madam, like we can have D index, DP index. There are some metrics like how we have for classification, no? We have accuracy, precision, recall. For cluster analysis also DP index is there, D index is there. And there are some more index metrics are there that you can use and you can do it, madam. And Mallikarjun sir asked how to do a text classification parsing using rapid miner. Yes, sir, text classification is possible. What you have to do after doing this, after extracting the text, and we have to supply that text as the input to your class validation. Then the class validation will divide your data. Okay, and you have to do some vectors are here. Okay, when you go for text analysis, no, I hope those who have studied information retrieval, there are 3 models. Okay, one Boolean model and then probabilistic model and vector model is there. Okay, so we have to convert the vector because text, no, so we have to convert into vectors, right? Then you can apply the cosine similarity to compute the similarity. Okay, then if it is clustering, if it is a classification, there also we have to convert into vectors. Then we can go for classification. I have a separate PPT for text classification and text clustering. Later on, you can mail me. Then, if possible, I'll share it with you. Okay, it's a big process. It needs the text classification itself. It needs 1 hour of time. Okay. All right. So this is a way to use the tool for that. So quickly, I will show you the PPT which I have for the social network analysis. We don't have time, and quickly I will go through it. Yeah. So this is the project which you are doing right now, which is sponsored by the DST, ICPS division. DST, there are many divisions. Okay, so ICPS is interdisciplinary psychophysical system. There just 2 years back, if I remember, it is 2020, no, 1918 and 17. There is a call for from the DST. At the time we applied but they have taken too much of time, and then we got the project in the month of actually 2018 only we have received. We started in 2019 actually because fund has come after some time. So what is the project? The project is all about multi-graph based anomaly detection model for social network analysis using machine learning techniques. So the idea is, you know that you have a social network, and there people are doing a lot of malpractices. They will say that they are your friend. They may not be your friend, but they are trying to get a lot of information about your personal information. Okay, so the idea of this project is we have to identify the anomaly. Okay, what is anomaly? You can call it anomaly or outlier. It is nothing but outlier or anomaly is nothing but if there is an object, the object has a standard behavior. When the object is deviating from its regular behavior, then the object is called as anomaly. Okay, for example, I have a card. I am using credit card. Okay, normally every month I will be using up to 5,000 in my credit card. But what happened? Just 2 days back, my card there is a transaction for almost 35,000. Then I got shocked because I used to spend only 5,000, but there is a sudden change, right? Every month there will be 5,000, but this month, November 2020, in the date of 4th or 3rd November, there is a big spike, 35,000. So what is the regular behavior of the card? Only 5,000, but in this month there is a sudden change. It's an abrupt behavior. Okay, it's not a normal behavior because my wife took the credit card and she purchased something for Deepavali, right? So that's called as anomaly, or you can call it as outlier detection. So what happens in the social network? People are connected. Okay, what is the use of social network? What do you mean by social network? You can say social network is nothing but so online communities among people with common interest, activities, backgrounds, and friendships. Platform for people to share, communicate, and collaborate. That's the use of a social network, right? So what is anomaly detection in that? Individuals, the outlier may be the individual or a group of individuals making sudden change in their patterns or in the behavior of interaction or interacting in a manner that differs from their peers. Okay, so we have to identify such a people, right? I repeat, individuals or a group of people changes in their patterns of interaction, okay, the way they are behaving with us or interacting in a manner that differs from their peers. Okay, that is called as an anomaly in social network. Okay, so like the examples are bullying, terrorist attack planning, and fraud information dissemination. This comes under this anomaly detection. So what happens when you talk about social network? The social network, how the data will be represented? The social network data will be represented in the form of graph. Okay, the social networks will be represented in the form of graph. When you look the graph, there are two things: static graph and dynamic graph. So we can apply this graph-based anomaly detection. So there are various applications with respect to this: social networks, telecom networks, security networks, web networks, computer networks, financial networks, and opening networks and so on. Okay, and these are some of the background you have the related work, right? If you look the anomaly detection static network, there we have unattributed network, attributed networks. Then further in attributed networks, we have the node may be the anomaly, the edge may be anomaly, a subgraph may be the anomaly. Okay, further in that anomalous node detection, there are different approaches the research group is working on, clustering or community based anomalous node detection. Like that in anomalous edge, see the social network is represent the form of graph. If you look at graph, there will be a node, okay, and there will be edge. Okay, the node will be the user and edge is the communication link between one user to another user. So what happens here, what is the idea here? The user may be the anomaly, or sometimes the communication link may be the anomaly. Even sometimes a group of people will be the anomaly. Okay, so possibilities: node anomaly detection, edge anomaly detection, and subgraph anomaly detection. Okay, so you can see here. Now you can see this, right? So how this is community based on the community graph. So this is our social. This is a one community, and this is another community. Now what happens? We can see here there are some node which are common between these two community. Okay, which are common between these two community. They will say 6 will say I am from the community graph 2, so I would like to have some interaction. Then the same 6 may say I am from community graph 1, so I would like to have some communication with graph 2. So what do you want to do? You want to find out the nodes which are common between the two community. Okay, right? So first you would like to find the community. Okay, so you want to find the common nodes between the two community. Then that's called as community detection. So we'll have a social network data here. Okay, we'll have a social network data here, and then we have to find the communities. That is communities here in the sense between the two community who are all the common members. Okay, that particular graph will be extracted. That is called as finding multi-graph. Here the multi means they are part of two community. That's called as multi-graph. Then once you have this multi-graph, from that you want to know, this is a multi-graph which you extracted. Then from this you want to know whether the node is anomaly, or the edge is the anomaly, or a particular group is the anomaly, subgraph is the anomaly. This is the idea of the project, and almost 1 year is over, and you have done the first objective, and you are working on the second objective, and actually we started with the machine learning technique. You got some result, and the result I will show you here. These are the algorithms you have proposed that should not be explored, so I don't want to tell you. And we have used for both static and as well as you are trying for dynamic anomaly detection. So we have involved a big data concept here. Okay, you can see here you have used Hadoop and Kafka, Apache, and so on. And this is a data set from snapstanford.edu. If you go there, you can see a lot of data on social networks. Okay, we have taken some data and you tested our you have taken output data. You can see it's undirected community, and there are a lot of nodes. 3,72,000 nodes are there, and edges are there, and communities are there. So you want to find out the anomalous node. So we have applied our algorithm, and it says that the number of nodes in the given data set is 1060. The total number of communities are 14. The total number of multi-graph communities are 6. And then the total number of anomalous nodes in multi-graph communities are 13. The anomalous nodes in the multi-graph communities are, these are the anomalous nodes. Okay, so here this result is only to find the node anomaly. Okay, so that is the concept you are using in this project, right? So like that people can apply for many project, and you can say there are a lot of call first, so you have to use that. That is up to our idea. So any doubt, any queries? Yes. So there are a lot of call for from I want to tell you, since there are so many humans here, now the SERB, the under the DST, we have a separate division called SERB, SERB. Just if you want, I will give you a quick explanation. Which one is better for no voice? Yeah, see, each one has its own advantage, madam. So you can choose based on your requirement, madam. But why I'm insisting to integrating, why I'm insisting Rapid Miner, because in Rapid Miner provides the options to integrate with other tool. So we can, each tool has pros and cons. So you can take the pros of Rapid Miner, you can take pros of Python, and if you do the integration, I think we can able to achieve a good result. Okay, 1 minute. There's some 1 minute, madam. Yeah, I will show you. Yeah, you can use Jupyter. Jupyter is there. Jupyter Notebook is directly you can execute the Python alone, but if you can't use the Rapid Miner facility, I will show you the Colfer. See, there are a lot of Colfer used to come DST there. So you can see the recent Colfer will be in the right hand side, or you can click directly Colfer project under the Waste Management Technologies program. See, the Colfer about device development program. So you have to explore it. You have to explore it. See, call for about DST, NGB, summer, winter school. In this one, I am trying for 2-3 years, but I am not getting this. Conducting some 15 days winter school. Okay, this year also will try. So like that, you have to explore. I hope you are able to see my screen. Okay, so you have to click this. Then the proper guideline is there. You can see that. 21 days summer winter school in geospatial science and technology. Okay. You see the special call for SC/ST category also there. That is also there. Okay, so you can try, and there are a lot of call for proposals. You can see DST is a good agency where we have many options, and where do you show serve? Yeah, www.serve.gov.in. You can see here. This is a website. You can see the programs. CRG Core Research Grant is the every year call for. What do you do? See, simple. As a faculty, I will tell you. You find some problem and split it and give the problem as a project to the students and get some output and compile it and try to make it as a proposal. Okay. And this CRG is anyone can apply. There is no restrictions. But these empowerment and equality opportunities for excellence EM EQVs for SC/ST peoples. Okay, every year like this look like CRG, same way, but it's only for SC/ST. Every year there will be a call for. Okay, in the month of this year they have called very early. I think this year they called in the month of April or something. Normally it used to come in June. Then startup research grant, a faculty who has joined as a faculty in the institution. Within 3 years they have to apply for this. Young research people. Earlier it's called as Young Research Award. Now it is called as Startup Research Grant. Okay, and how to see that when they will be announced, which date you have to give, click this online submission. Right. So this is the SERB. See where you can see after clicking this SERB online, you can click the announcement. If announcement, see call for proposal announcement, closed, ongoing. If it is any ongoing things, it will come here. So now, as of now, National Science Chair is there. These are the other fellowships. Like you can ask for seminar to conduct seminar and symposia. Some fellowships are there that you can try. And if it is anything upcoming, you can click this. As of now, no. But you have to check always. But now recently, the SERB has announced for women power. Okay. Particularly, there is a 2 category. The women working in the National Institute like IIT, NIT, that is the one option. For them, it is 60 lakhs. And see, SERB power. You can see a Sir Power, no? It's for women actually. The faculty who are women. The Sir Power, we can, if it is a government institute faculty, 60 lakhs. For private institutions, 30 lakhs. So explore it, and it's a great opportunity for the women, and try to use it. Okay, like, so you can apply some project in SERP, and you can apply project. There are a lot of DST also. I have shown only few. There are many things. There are many divisions. You can go here and you can see science program, technology and development, and ICFS comes under the technology and development. There are many things are there. Explore. We have to explore. It will not come and knock our door. We have to explore, and we have to try. Okay. So such a way we have done. Then we are doing the 3 projects we are doing as of now. So this is the way you have to use it. My request is you try and kindly go through it, whatever you have discussed, and let me know if you have any difficulties. 1 minute. So if you have any difficulties, I am ready to help you. Right, Sir Murugan sir. So shall I close it?
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir.
Huh?
I'm listening to you only. I'm listening.
Okay. So
Okay, okay.
yeah.
Participants, is there any doubt? Whether
Yeah,
you want
please.
to clarify any doubt?
Yeah, please. Friends, if you have any doubt, please let me know. I'm here to help you. Please share size to Murugan sir. Okay, then it's subtle program, no? Automatically to be done. Can we have sir's email ID? Yes, madam. I will show you PPT now. We can use this. You can note down. Are you able to see my screen? You can see here vengishakti77@gmail.com. This is my email ID, and this is also small v only, vengishakti@natk.edu.in, and this is my number. Okay, Vengishakti. If you want, I will type here also. It's not a problem. So you can
No,
have.
sir, that one is very easy. You show that.
Okay.
That is very easy. Very nice.
Okay. Vengishakti77@gmail.com and vengishakti@natk.edu.
You browse nitk@ac.in. There, sir will be there.
Okay.
NIT Surathkal.
So if you have any doubt and any help from my side, you are always welcome. Any doubt, any queries, friends?
Participants, I think there is no doubt because already sir has discussed, clarified all the doubts. Chat box shows your doubts. I think they are happy. Shall we conclude, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Participants?
Yes, sir. Conclude.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir.
Venkatesan, sir, I'm happy because 3 sessions you have handled. Very nice. Very happy.
It's my
I'm
duty.
very grateful, thankful for you for taking over 3 sessions.
No.
This stage.
I have to say thanks because my sudden
No,
changes
sir,
in
no.
my personal things. So
Yeah.
it
That
postponed
I
that.
know, sir. No.
But anyway, we didn't get bored, sir. No problem.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of IRTT, I
Yes.
express my sincere thanks to Dr. Venkatesan, Professor in Computer Science, NIT Surathkal. I think the participants have enjoyed 3 sessions. If there is any doubt, you can mail because sir has shared the mail ID and phone number. He's a very good expert in data science and data analytics, and he is doing ISRO projects he has shared. This very first time the expert is showing all the this thing. I mean, where and all we can apply for projects and applying the proposals. Very nice, very informative. I thank sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Thank you.